History and mythology are mostly considered to be dead subjects. Most of us feel that there is nothing we can gain from them. However, this lockdown of 3 months have showed us that many of us are unaware of our roots. When a celebrated television channel broadcasts our epics, we are unaware of its inner meaning. In this video, all of us have searched to find out the beginning of our roots and culture. This video, if heard minutely, will inform you about the beginning of our Vedas Upanishad and my favorite epic Mahabharata. They were perhaps whisper of God, or maybe insight of the wise. They gave the world meaning and life a purpose. This chants relieved Vedana, the yearning of the restless human soul. Therefore, they became collectively known as the Vedas. Those who heard them first came to be known as the Rishis. Based on what the Vedas revealed, the Rishis create a society where everything had a place and where everything changed with rhythmic regularity. The Brahmins were the teachers of the society, the Vaishya its provider, and the Sudra its servants. Thanks to the Veda, everyone in the society knew that the life theory lead was just one of many. In other life, present or past, the Sudra of this life would graduate and become a Vaishya, the Vaishya would become a Kshatriya, and the Kshatriya would eventually become a Brahmin, perhaps a rock or a plant or beast, maybe even a god or demon. Thus, everything was interconnected and everything was cyclical. The point of existence in this dynamic, ever-changing world then was not to aspire or achieve, but to introspect. Then there was a drought, a terrible 14-year drought. When the river Saraswati dried up, the society collapsed and the Vedas were all but forgotten. When the rain finally returned, a fisherwoman's son, born out of wedlock, took it upon himself to compile the scattered hymns. His name was Krishna Daipayan, which means the dark child who was born on a river island. His father was Parashar, grandson of the great Vasishtha, one of the 7 rishis who heard the Veda first. In time, Krishna Daipayan became known as the Vedvyasa, compiler of the books of wisdom. Vyas classified the hymns and created 4 collections: Rig, Vajur, Sama, and Atharva. On completing this monumental task, Vyasa heard this inexplicable urge to write a story, one that would convey the most abstract of Vedic truths to the simplest of man in the farthest corner of the world, in the most concrete of forms. The gods liked to the idea and sent the elephant-headed Ganesha to serve as a scribe. Ganesha said, "You must narrate without a pause. This would ensure that what was dictated was not adulterated by human prejudice." "I will," said Vyasa, "provided you write nothing unless it makes sense to you." This ensured that all that was written appealed to divine. The main characters of Vyasa's tale were the people he knew. The villains, the Kauravas, were in fact his own grandchildren. Vyasa called this tale Jaya, meaning the tale of victory. It has 60 portions. Of all these, only one portion reached human through Vyasa's student Vaishampayana. Thus, No one really knows everything that Vyasa had narrated and Ganesha had written down. Vaishampayana narrated Vyasa's tale at the Yagna of Janmejaya, the great grandson of the Pandav Arjun. This was overheaded by a court poet, Romaharshana, who passed it on to his son Agrashrava, who narrated it to Sonak and other Caesar at the Naishima forest. The expansion continued. Detailed conversations on genealogy, history, geography, astrology, politics, economics, philosophy, and metaphysics were included. The Bharata came to have 18 chapters and over 100,000 verses. The story of Krishna's early years, the Harivamsha, was added as an appendix. This was how the Bharata came to be the Mahabharata, the greatest epic of the Indian people. In the 20th century, the epic cast its spell on the modern mind. Long essays written to make rational sense of its moral ambiguity, while its plots were used by novelists, playwrights, and filmmakers as important vehicle to comment on numerous political and social issues, from feminism to caste discrimination and even war. Its wisdom has often been overshadowed by its entertainment values. Its complexity oversimplified by well-meaning narrators, leading to ruptures in the traditional discourse. With so many retellings and so widespread popularity, some argue that the Mahabharata actually means a tale of the greatness of India and not the great epic of India, for it contains all that has made India what they are, a tolerant bunch of people who value their inner wisdom over their outer achievements.